Hey, everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa. You just heard part one of guitarist and composer Alex Anthony Faide's long-awaited solo album. It's called Particles of the Infinite. And I love the name. I love the music of this so much. It is a 9-piece stretch of music that you really should just spend an evening or a day or whatever, just take the entire album and listen, get your favorite beverage or whatever, just immerse
Chill
yourself
out.
in it. This is a experience. It's an experience. And so it's really hard to even play, here's part one, and then we're going to close with the very final track, part 9. But I really encourage you to get the album and listen to the whole thing from start to finish. This is a journey. And we're very excited to have Alex with us. And everyone go to alexanthonyfaide.com, and that's Faide, it's Faide. Welcome, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing very, very fine. Thanks for having me here. I'm super happy, delighted, and flattered by your previous words as we were preparing to go live.
So we have to say this, right? Now we have to repeat everything
we have to repeat every single
okay,
word.
So number one, we feel like we're in space. Number two, Nancy says you need to write a rock opera. And number three, we think this should be a video, like a movie, right? Did we capture that all?
I think so. I think that comprehends absolutely. I was thinking on J.J. Abrams, for instance. Why not? Just dream big.
Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
Dream big.
Yeah.
You never know.
But this is a journey. Like I was saying, like when you listen, you've got to listen to the whole thing. I think, we're playing, the 2 parts so people can hear. But number one, I like the first thing we said to you, I mean, even as we were pulling you into Zoom, I'm like, you're crazy. You're a madman. You are, like, on guitar. And then you have this ability of taking us really like hardcore up and, and then into like, all right, we're going to float in space. Like, and people will hear that on part 9, where you kind of just feel like, okay, at the end of a journey, like I can breathe out now. It's like this intense workout, and at the end we're stretching in yoga, Don't ask me to do that though. Fall down. So it's amazing to hear how you kind of traverse like an ocean. It's an ocean thing. Maybe that's because right now we're about, by the way, I think, are you in Seattle today? Where are you today?
Right now, Seattle shoreline, slightly northwards from downtown. Is on the north end.
We're more north than you. We're in Anacortes today. We travel full time. We're on the road 100%. And it's funny because we were talking about you being on the show and driving up. I'm like, I think he's in Seattle. And we got here and looking up, I'm like, oh yeah, you're in Seattle. We're up in Anacortes, so we're on the coast. So there's something, I think it kind of goes with this album, the ocean. For each person.
I'm pleased, and I am surprised, and I am immensely flattered by what you have just described and mentioned. The record is divided in 9 parts. I see that as 9 episodes or chapters in a book.
Oh, I like that.
Where you can, those books where you read it once and then twice and then over and over, and you always discover something here and there. So it's heavily layered. It's very textural. It's very intense. There is a lot of notes. And there are some arcane, let's say, numeric relationships within the music. I don't want to expand too much on that because it, as you said before, it's to be experienced. I don't want to rob anyone from their individual perception and experience. I don't want to ruin that with a lot of
like for me going, oh, it's the ocean, but for somebody else, they're climbing a mountain.
Beautiful.
Everybody It could be their own inner, like, I see, everybody's got, that's the beauty of music and art, is
Oh
it's
yeah.
your own thing. And that's why I say it is an experience.
Mhm.
And I like what you say about chapters, because when
Yeah.
you read a book and there's something that you can go back to, you can pick the chapter too. Like if there's a different feeling per episode of the song. Or
Right.
this, well, I think it's one big long song to me. It's like, this is the music novella, and you can go in and
Yes.
you could do a movie with this. I think
You could.
Nancy's,
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Mhm.
I think it's the first time that somebody tells me that in regard. Well, the reality is this record is about to be released, so very few people.
Actually, it's airing on your release date. I just didn't tell you. We're pre-recording this, everyone, just a few days beforehand. So
I
March
see.
18th is the date.
That is correct. Yes.
I forgot to tell you that before we recorded, but it is airing on your release date. So there's a happy release.
Good, thank you. Yeah, so it has just been released.
Depending on what time you're listening to this. But-
Right. Well, we are sometimes outside of linear time in this.
Does
you know,
time exist? Now listen,
frequencies.
because
Yeah.
if you listen to your music, time may not exist, but then there's
Yeah.
numerical values in this, right? So it's fractal.
Yeah, there is a lot packed in there. Yeah.
So I noticed that you managed somehow to change rhythm
Mm.
and come back, and then change it again and come back. Am I right or wrong about that? Or is this my take on it?
You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
Yes, that's okay. How can I describe this? This happens, what you just described happens as a result of emotional shocks
Mm-hmm.
that
Okay.
come through the music as it's being written.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that has been improvised and then afterwards made, crystallized in shape and form and length. However, most of the embryos or most of the generic cells, little starting cells, have been through extemporization and treating of certain motifs and very tiny little particles.
Yeah.
That, and there is a genealogy behind it too. It's coming from a place. It's coming from a place of admiration, deep respect, and tribute to my long-term guitar mentor and friend, Mr. Robert Fripp.
He's amazing, yeah.
Whom it's an incredible man.
And he loves your playing, apparently.
Yes.
You play better than him, he says.
Over the years, an incredibly supporting force. And I've worked intensely in the 90s with him, one-on-one during his guitar craft courses all over the world. I stayed in that school of practice for a number of years, and we always kept contact after me going out in the world. So I consider myself mostly a person that absorbs a lot of music from very different and sometimes disparate origins or styles. I have an interest, a broad interest in music and what it does to us humans since time immemorial, perhaps 40 to 50,000 years. There is something there that touches us and it brings us to what is really real.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Puts us in contact with something that is bigger than anything we can
It's
imagine,
truth. It's
Mhm.
true.
right? And some people regard it as God. Some people just don't. I don't want to think on those kind of terms. I think is music has a power that no other fine art, in my opinion, achieves. There is, of course, the new methods that have appeared in time in history, like cinema,
Mm.
where all the fine arts converge and to tell a powerful story, which has also been happening for tens of thousands of years. The storytelling part in the cave with everyone at night in the fire, and the epic stories, right? That and today also you go to the movies, and it's a dark space. It's a communal space because we're when allowed, when
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
pandemic.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding.
You know, it's kind of like it's still, we're still there somehow.
Mhm.
This is not to say, oh, we're still primitive. Maybe we are. I don't know. I don't want to. I
Yeah.
don't want to
I
make
think
a
we
judgment.
are in a way.
But
In a way.
yeah, in a way, we find ways of keep, you know, telling all these epic stories in new ways and forms, and we need that, we want that, it's good for us, it nurtures us, it informs on. So, well, in terms, what is it that I relate to music, and what happens with music when it touches us? It's an intangible force.
Mhm.
You can't see it, you can't touch it,
Mm.
you cannot put it in any container. We have tried.
Mhm.
You know, the music industry and the technology have brought us very close to capturing. However, what happens is where does music comes into existence, right? Is it
Mhm.
when I play here at home? Is it when we listen, or how we listen to what we listen? So it's a phenomenon that.
And it keeps going. Like when you record something like you just have, you know, and I love Particles of the Infinite. Even the name is so, because it is infinite what happens when music goes out.
Of course.
So I'll
Yeah.
take it here, I'm going to the ocean, but the next time I hear it, I may be the mountains. The
See,
next time it may be maybe I'm in space,
exactly.
you know. So each time, or maybe it's visual or something very, very personal. And a lot of times it is. And what people interpret in music and art, it is personal, and no one can take that away from them. You know, that is what you are feeling and hearing, and that's where truth is at its purest form. Until you have to say, well, I heard this, and somebody will go, well, no, it's this. Well, no, bull. You don't ever tell anybody what they're hearing, because what they hear is what they hear. That is truth, whether or not, you know, maybe you
Yes,
wanted someone to hear an A and they hear a C.
absolutely.
Whatever they're hearing
Where
is
it
truth and
finds you.
pure. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a beauty. And so once music goes out, it's got its own life. It takes it from,
Oh, indeed.
it's like when you make the yeast and the bread, once the bread gets in the oven, it's going to go where it's going to go. It may turn into sourdough if I'm making it. Because it's going to, because
Well,
something's going to happen.
I think it's got a lot to do with dynamics and giving space for the listener to make up their own mind. And then you can go back and, you know, wait an hour or two or a day or two, go listen to exactly the same thing, and you'll have a completely different take on it, depending on what's happening to you at the time. So that's why music is so
emotions,
because it's not tangible in a way that it when you're happy, it'll be happy. And if you're not happy, it might not be that happy. It's like depending on where you are in your own personal space, the
Right.
dynamics take you somewhere. Sometimes it's very uplifting, and sometimes it's like, hey, wait a minute, stop and think. So to me, music, like especially what you've done, I could see that you could listen to the whole thing forever and always come up with something new in your mind.
I appreciate that.
Our soul.
That's an amazing.
I love that.
It's exciting.
Oh my.
It's exciting. Isn't it
I love
exciting
that.
to create
It
this?
is.
Because I know you're, it's connected also listening to King Crimson. Pat Massaletto's on there, drummer. He was on our show about a year ago. And it's amazing what you're doing because you have made it all your own. It's your own. You can be inspired, but it's your own. And that's the thing, we always talk about this. Oh, so-and-so took this music and no, it's about inspiration. And isn't that what we do as a listener? It's co-creative.
I agree. In it also in itself, I also see it like a little bit of like an alchemic transmutation process in 9 stages, where through a number of practices and techniques and tricks, I personally undergo in search of my own voice within a tradition, right? Within this tradition of very intense and fast motu perpetuus. So yeah, the arc, as you both were describing it at the beginning, I'm touched by what you said, because there is a thread that goes through it, and never lives, but you see the transformation. So it's there are at least 3 processes in the old grimoires of alchemy. I guess it was called nigredo, albedo, and rubedo, where the matter gets transformed into something that wasn't available before through a process. So there is some of that going on, and I'm super happy to have your feedback come and report me of.
Well, it's metamorphic. And so it's like a butterfly going from the chrysalis into the butterfly.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of it, because it takes you through all the emotions. There's grinding, there's angst, there's even some anger, right? There's like frustration. And if we don't have frustration, we don't get the flower. The flower will not break out of the seed without bashing on the edge of the seed to get out. And you know what? The flower grows in poop. So, but you go through that, and then it's like, okay, I'm getting there. Okay, I'm calm. And then, all right, I got to get back to it. And this is a very cyclical, that's why I bring up the ocean and even the, space, the moon, the lunar, the whole lunar system, the sky system, the solar system, all of it. All cyclical. And so your album is cyclical. I think it's neat that you did 9 instead of 8.
Yes.
That's also interesting. There's 9 natural numbers, right? So numerically, it's interesting. 8 is infinity, but I feel like you went, I'm going to push it this extra notch of going, I'm doing 9. Haha, I could have done 8. But I'm going 9 to see what happens. So
right on.
Tell us about 9 versus 8, and even 8 notes on the piano. You know what I mean? So it's interesting that was it the Beatles, number 9?
I'm a big Beatles fan, but so unconsciously maybe. But yeah, there is a concept of octave and then some, where that's highly interesting what you're saying right there.
Because you almost wanted to push the bow of infinity, because 8 is that number, right? And we move in that, and then it could have done that, but you said
Yeah,
no.
but you always
going
gotta
9.
have an extra
That you have
step.
to do the extra. Cats have 9 lives. There's a
Yep.
whole other thing.
You
I
gotta do
know.
the extra step. Otherwise, you just stop and stop and repeat, stop and repeat. You're doing the
Yeah,
same thing over
that's
and
it.
over and over.
You push the
That's
envelope.
yeah, you gotta break out of that and go one extra step.
You push the envelope.
Yeah.
And it also means it can't
Mm.
be binary, because now you've got into the trifecta. So so it's, you see, so that's a whole other. I'm sorry, I get weird about number stuff, but that is the truth.
Yeah.
You've gone, and it's like also interesting in music, because you think of, 2/4, 2/4, 3/4, but now 3/4, right? So we get waltzes, but then it's like that when you think about the music that you do, that the whole third thing is weird. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting weird. Sorry.
Well, waltzes, I like to watch people try to do waltzes
I
because
know.
it's so not rhythmic to a human who does
But-
1, 2, 3, 4. Then all of a sudden 1, 2, 3.
No, no,
1,
that's
2,
only, it
3.
depends if you know how to
Funny.
shake. If you know
I
how to
know.
shake, that's what the in between is.
But
The
it's
third note is
funny.
the shaking. That's when you shake your booty.
I think the waltz is awkward.
We shouldn't forget that we Westerners,
Yeah.
with our tonal music tradition from the center of Europe, and we have been conditioned for a number of centuries now to perceive rhythm in a certain way. It has to
Right.
be 4, or has to be 3,
1, 2, 1, 2,
Yeah.
1, 2.
or
Like a military, right?
or 2. That's the craziest 2, 4, like in tango. Which is heavily influenced by European tonal tradition of music. Now, if you observe other, I don't want to use the word cultures, but other traditions of the world,
Good one.
their relationship to rhythm and harmony and melody is completely different. Completely different is possibly also a wrong term, because it implies the otherness, and I don't think that's right. But there was a great expansion as a result of musics of all over the world becoming available to listen to accept into our hearts. And the metrics went boom,
Yeah, it's like jazz. Like, you've got jazz.
We can break the square
the mold.
We can if we need.
We can be circular. That's the beauty of a circle versus
we
square.
can do anything we want.
Right.
Right. That's what the art is. And syncopation and jazz. You've got a lot of jazz. Africa taught us that, and the Middle East brought in. I mean, listen, even Scottish bagpipes and Scottish, traditional music, and the UK, it all came from the Middle East. So and they have the syncopation. That's why you have the sliding notes on all the the oboe and all of that have a slide to them. Everything has a slide, but then suddenly we went into and that's how it must be. Sorry, maybe it's Hitler's fault. I don't know, but all of a sudden we must do that. Who knows?
Maybe.
But this 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember we had a band many years ago, and we had a guitarist who could write really good lyrics, but he was stuck on the same chords and the same thing. And we were saying, no, it's a 3/4 time. He's like, there's no such thing as 3/4. Nancy's like, well, there's a waltz. Think about the old traditional country waltz. There's no such thing as 3/4 time, but there's a waltz. He said, yes, there's a waltz, but no,
he couldn't do it.
And we're just in there going, we tried to explain and show and then I said, well, there's 6/8 time. Oh, no. No. So, but with your guitar playing, listening to this, what I want to know is, where are you doing the bass? How is all, because the bass is intense and how it runs with the guitar. That to me was one of the biggest parts of the music, was that linear. So when we talk about binary, you've got that, but then you have the drums, you have other things, but that is, I also look at the third part of your music as the energy that is swifting through. that sounds weird, but and woo woo, but I feel like we can be whatever, but the bass line, so you had to do that separate, obviously, right? So you were chasing yourself.
Yes, we enjoyed the perks of multi-tracking.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How are your
And this,
fingers feeling after all of this? Holy crap.
pretty fairly, yeah, it was pretty a pretty fun run, I have to say. We were considering at some point having bass contributors of very also play from very diverse bass mindsets. However, we decided to go with the let's do as much as we can when we can. We did this record amidst me moving and transitioning from living in different continents.
Yeah, Buenos Aires, Mexico.
Yeah,
Right.
so I was traveling a lot, recording some, and then leaving it for a while, and then revisiting it. It would have been impossible to coordinate also bass players that could when it was available to put.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, let me do the bass lines too. There is no, I don't have to discuss with anybody, only with myself.
But it's so gelled. It is so gelled.
It is.
All the work.
Really, really
beautifully.
Yeah, that is
seamless.
one of the, it's so it's so connected. It's such a, like, I don't know if that would exist other than that. Like, I don't know. Like, what are you going to do?
Not in this
form.
form.
Play this live? I'm going to play this live. Like,
I played this, yes, we did a number of overdubs to orchestrate, harmony parts and little tricky things here and there. But it all was first takes. So that, like the backbone guitars that go through the all from beginning to end, one take.
Wow.
So that, I feel proud of that.
You should be. My God.
It is
amazing.
Because your guitar playing is incredible. I mean, and I know, and everyone, please, I've got to give out your website again. Everyone go to Alex Anthony Faide, and so it's FAIDE.com, and go look at the discography and the amount of work you have done in your career in different continents, like you were saying, like with Tito Fuentes and all these amazing and different genres. Like, you're not limited at all. And I think that's what's so amazing about bringing it all together. But you've got to, once you said, okay, click send, this is coming out March 18th, which we're not here yet, but we're here today. March 18th. How did that feel, like going, okay, it's done, without going in and doing a noodle? Because this is such an epic thing that, and obviously it's very huge. Connected personally with what you've done. You've had guest drummers like, Pat Masalato, but how do you just click, okay, I'm done? That's like,
Yeah. I had help from above there's moments where the best thing you can do is let go. Perfection was never the aim.
I don't think you can ever do that in art. If you do that, you screw it up.
No, art is supposed to further the idea of perfection, not be perfect.
Exactly. So in terms of getting stuff done and ready, we went a little bit with that concept. This is actually a concept from the person who mastered the record, both for digital and vinyl, because there's a limited edition of vinyl.
Oh, cool.
the person who mastered it is Brian Lucey
Mhm.
from Magic Garden Mastering in Los Angeles. A very highly skilled professional, absolutely idiosyncratic and a voodoo master of the master.
I like
That's
that.
cool. I
Process.
like it.
And
Yeah.
he has some very good hints and tips. And at some point there was a concept by him, which is called the 90% concept.
Mhm.
You can strive and try and get dirty at trying to achieve the 100%, but it's that's unachievable on this planet.
Mhm.
Go for the 90% and be close to 90%. Even
Mhm.
89.9 will be
Mhm.
a good point to move on to the next, right?
Right.
I like that.
Because
Otherwise, nothing will get done.
exactly, when you're obsessed with the 100, you will never get out of the obsession.
Yeah, because
And then you
who's
don't
to
grow.
but who's to say what the 100 is?
Apart from
knows?
the very subjective nature of
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and then you get to the 100 and nobody cares. You really, that
Yeah.
No,
sucks.
probably you'll be alone by then.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
else will
exactly.
want to have even coffee
Well,
with
because
you, right?
but then
Right.
but if you get to the 100, you've left nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
That's a great point also.
Yeah.
So leave
Yeah.
room
Yeah.
for random. Leave
Yeah.
10% room.
Yeah, at
Just
least.
let it
Yeah.
go.
Well,
you know?
that's we travel full time, and that's really how we travel. It's like we have to leave X number of days in between places we have to be for work and etc., so that we can go, screw it, we're
Right.
camping in the woods.
Yeah.
No,
Go
we're
play.
gonna have wine where we shouldn't over here, which we do all the time. Park rangers do not follow our car. But you know, so there's this you've got to leave that room. And once you learn that, it becomes the most beautiful thing on earth because you allow yourself to be human
And to be in the moment.
and to enjoy. Otherwise, what the hell are we here for?
I mean, you have to be in the moment to remember the moment and to really experience it. You can't be doing 10 things at once.
I don't think we can experience the arts if it was perfect. I don't think we could, but because there is no perfection.
Yeah, what is perfect? That's in the eye of each person, what they think perfect is. Nobody's ever going to agree on what's perfect.
The most perfect thing I believe we can have an experience of is nature. And nature is imperfect.
Exactly, because we have climate change, because we're part of nature.
Nature,
so we're the imperfection.
It's chaos and harmony at the same time.
You brought that in the album. Okay, so
thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I mean that, because as I was saying, you go ba ba boom, and then it's like flow, and then it's not, and then it's here. We're gonna take you're doing that. It's like a tree in the wind, and then the tree breathes. Does that make sense? Like it's just kind of that, and I think you have to have that, and you've got that. That's where jazz comes in. Jazz goes, oh yeah, let's descramble your brain for a bit because you need it as a human being. We're going to descramble you, and you don't know what's hit you when you first hear it. You go, holy crap! Unless you're really a jazz person, then you're like, okay, my brain's been scrambled. Okay, I can listen now. All right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You have a lot of jazz in you, and it's interesting to hear with your style of guitar, and like, well, you've multiple styles, but there's a signature sound you have that's just, it's pure, and like, boom, here we go. It's like as soon as you listen to any piece, and really again, listen from first to the end, that's it. We're in. So I wonder about that, about the jazz part is that something that you were raised with? Because I feel like that's like a huge, just me listening, that's my opinion. So I hate going too deep on the music stuff, but because everybody has their own opinion, but I feel like you've got a lot of jazz in you, like a lot of, you understand how multiple beats and beats and notes can go at the same time and then make it congruent into a simpler style that we can ingest. Does that make sense? Like,
It's
you've got,
bending,
you can
it's
take all of
bending-
that and
bending the rules because you
yeah,
can.
yeah.
If you're brave enough to bend the rules, then you can. If you're not brave enough, then you're going to stick to 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3.
And you go, you can really go fast and then slow.
But so you can bend the rules.
Yeah.
Because the rules are meant to be bent. Uh-oh. But I'm not talking about being violent or anything. I'm talking about bending rules that are there because they've been there for a long time, and maybe the rules need to be bent or pushed a little and expanded.
I agree. I like to think about breaking through conditionings.
Exactly.
So in a way, I have my driver's license and I can go over 35, maybe a little.
Yeah, but not
crazy, not racing and trying to, the idea is not to be the first. The idea is to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And then push it a little bit. But yeah, in terms of the jazz aspect, if it's in there, it's probably unconsciously, because I don't see myself as a jazz guitarist. I admire those guys greatly, and the tradition of jazz, which is a universe on itself, all the voices, and with that substance that was channeled through that tradition from the different regions of the United States and then from the world, because that exploded and went around the globe at a time where also music industry was very young, right?
Oh yes.
And the recording techniques were also very primitive. However, the music still spoke to people around the globe. So much that at times it got also banned because it's so powerful and liberating. So I admire the jazz. I have my favorites, and I admire the language, the dialect, or however you might want to call it. And I have my very humble knowledge of the basics of, how to create a chord sequence and improvise in different modes and tonalities and keys and transpose and improvise. However, I have never been a professional jazz interpret,
I just think there's a lot of jazz in what I heard. There's jazz, and I wonder if it's because like I was saying, you have this way of bringing a bunch of notes into simplicity and getting us on track where your mind can go, ooh, but listen over here. That's the beauty of going back and rehearing it, right?
Yeah.
Hear something each time. And as human beings, we need to do that. We have to have that layering because, do we open our minds all the way real fast early? Some of us do. Some of us, it takes time on different things, right? Nothing wrong, nothing right. It's just, what are we focusing on at that moment, and where are we in life at that moment? So that's the beauty of it. The jazz part to me is you are shifting us in gears, and you're taking us in different. You're changing the rhythm, and there's a percussiveness So I was going to say
Yes.
it's a percussion because I hear, and I went back and listened and I'm like, okay, I know there's drums here and drums there, but I was realizing like half of what I was thinking as percussion was your guitar playing. And I was like, holy crap. Okay, listen to that. Like, that's insanity, but and I mean that in a good way, I'm
Appreciate.
listening to this going, okay, like this is something really, really special when you
Mhm.
really listen and you do have this.
It's like vocals. It's like a
Yeah.
voice, but it can go from high to low and do whatever it wants.
Yeah, it's like playing,
Which-
the melody and chords and percussion
Yeah.
and bass all at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, you're a crazy man. I told you that when you
Yeah.
first
Yes, I am.
connected. I'm
Yes,
like,
ma'am.
you're crazy. We both looked at
Yes,
you. We're like, you're
ma'am. I am.
crazy. So did you start? I mean, guitar, was it something as a kid? Tell us, like, what was it like growing up, and what were you listening to as a kid?
I discovered the guitar at an early age. I was 7.
Wow, that's nice.
And I got to accidentally discover 2 guitars under my mother's bed.
Oh,
Back then, my mom was part of the association of parents of my school.
Mm-hmm.
They were like monthly gatherings of the,
the PTA. Yeah.
Yeah, and they will organize the different festivities for the school. And then there was a month where the folklore of Argentina was big.
Cool.
So they were, they will get the props and get the scenery. And apparently for one of those, 2 guitars were necessary. Without my knowledge, obviously, at 7, I was more concerned about like Matchbox little cars or Hot Wheels toys, and
Sure.
I never liked school. But my mom somehow brought those 2 guitars home without telling me. Very nice Saturday morning, while playing and throwing little Matchbox cars through the floor, one of those randomly went under her bed and hit one of the guitars, and I heard boom, gong, 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 gong. And I went like, what's that? And I crawled under her bed and I found those 2 beautiful things with strings attached, completely out of tune, because they were prop guitars, right? Not professional, not from anybody that, so nobody played guitar at home. My mom was very musical and she was a music lover, but not a musician herself. There was a lot of music at home at all times.
Cool.
So that's how I discovered guitar. So I grabbed one of those things from under her bed and start messing around with it. And I became fascinated ever since.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's awesome. And also Argentina, it's like, it seems like music, well, jazz too. Jazz has always been out there, right? In a different way, right? In a different way than what is interpreted in America. So what's interesting about that, and going back to your album too, with that influence, I think there's going to just be something wrapped around there. Olan and Zakia Hooker is John Lee Hooker's daughter. She's been on our show for years. We actually got to go meet her when we were in Georgia, and her husband, Olan Christopher Bell, he was in the Naturals. I'll have to send you their music, but they go to Buenos Aires in Argentina every year and record, except for over COVID. And he's just like, there's such music over there. And such good musicianship, and that's where their recording studios are. So that's where they go do all of their the Natural Flora. Yeah, I need to send you that. and it's interesting because whenever they started doing that and recording down there, it brought in this other jazz, and that is exactly it.
It's the
It's a
extra
different
rhythm.
jazz than here. It's that Latin jazz that it's not Latin jazz, but it is. I suppose it is. But I can't explain the timing of it, but it's where it
hot.
leaves you. It's a syncopation where it leaves you hanging just that extra little note, just that extra where you think, and then it's got you, and you're okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's what you're doing in your guitar playing. To me, that's what
wow.
I hear. And
Oh,
so
yeah, right.
while you're doing it really, really fast at times, and then sometimes really slow. I mean, everything's different in the whole dynamics, and it's amazing to me to be able to take all of that into this one sound and make it flow and congruent.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
Amazing.
saying, especially with that bass undercurrent, and it's pretty damn brilliant, dude.
Thank you.
You should be happy. I mean,
I'm
seriously,
humbled.
because I was listening to this going, I've gone back and forth on it. I'm like, holy shit. Excuse me, every time I'm like, this is some crazy stuff. You're crazy, but it's really good. Like I really want people to listen and go through it, because I think you'll hear so much more. And it is going to have some of that rhythm from your past, possibly, because not your past, that sounds bad, from your upbringing, because of that music. I think about Zakia's music. There's just that extra little rhythm that tells you, ooh, you could be naughty. Oh, I could be falling off the bridge, but I'm not going to. Ooh,
Awesome.
there's just that, and that's maybe the number 9 too. That extra little
push. It's just a little pushy envelope.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I'm so humbled and flattered.
Oh, well, thank you.
awesome.
We're just glad we found it. Thank you, Billy, everybody at Glass Onion. I mean, he's awesome. So what's next for you? I mean, this is like some big epic thing. I like feel it.
Well, we are going to try different things. I think
well, that's shocking.
we are going to hope that at some point we will be able to present this on stage, right?
Oh gosh, I hope so. Yeah, you have to have a bass player that can be like that with you, for sure.
Yes, I have been in conversations already with a couple of suspects, and it would be wonderful to achieve that, at least for a very, at first limited project or amount of gigs or concerts, and just give it a run, right? Just give it
film it. Film it.
Yes.
And hopefully, have some nice footage done for that, and that would be amazing. However, we know that the times of freely booking concerts, it's been out of whack now for almost 3 years.
And
It has impacted us here at home, so heavily. My wife, she's also a tremendous artist.
Yeah, I connected with her on Instagram last night, and she's amazing.
She is
Crystal
a
Beth.
force of nature herself. Beth Cleaner.
And you guys play together?
We do a lot of music together, and
awesome.
we have been doing a lot of stuff here at home, in our little spaces and studios that we crafted.
You gotta have a crazy house.
Like
there's a clarinet going over here and crazy guitar going over here.
She is a force of nature, I tell you. She plays and sings. She plays amplified clarinet, which is
insane. Yeah,
wow.
she's like
amazing.
Cool.
That's
cool.
She's gonna come on our show. I want people to see what
she should.
She's wild. She's a wild child.
Yes,
she is.
You guys should get her.
Awesome.
Indeed, I think you'll love her and her articulate way of conveying concepts
Awesome.
in speech, which
Mhm.
I'm not a native English speaking person, so I am always also like that note that you were telling us. Maybe a little late. I am always doodling with my
Yeah.
English and my accent, and I have sometimes trouble at articulating accurately what I want to say or what I mean to say.
See, I just swear. I just swear.
No.
It's not good enough. I know.
Swearing,
No,
swearing is the best way to learn the language.
Well, that's how we learned
you know,
Afrikaans when we lived in South
Yeah.
Africa. They taught us Afrikaans and told us, "Oh, this is what you're saying," and then we found out that's not what we were saying, and we said things in
Yeah.
public we should never say. But but it's
was fun.
But I think when you're learning a new language, and English is not easy. It's not easy to learn.
It's an
No.
awkward
And-
language.
But
It
you do
really is.
deliver well in that we understand, we're listening, we're hearing
Mm-hmm.
what you're meaning and saying. And that's important than a bunch of us running around saying 20,000 things in one sentence that are just off the top of our head. You're thinking about what you're saying and pointing it. I think that's good.
I hope I am.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I understand it's hard for me too, as lived in different countries, and I'll go into just different languages will spin me out of control. Like, I'll go English, I'll go Dutch, I'll go into different things. And so someone's name will spin me out. Like even your last name Faide, I just want to go Faide. Like, I want to go into these all different accents and it just is when you travel a lot, you pick up all these invisible clothes of your persona, so it's harder but better at the same time. I mean, you've traveled the world with your music, so going to different countries, right?
I have been so privileged in my life. Yes,
that's awesome.
So privileged. Yes.
Does it influence you going to different countries?
Oh, indeed. Even if you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
Indeed, that will be part of your how we call that, treasure.
Yeah, because I think it's when you travel, it's gonna change you, and maybe you don't like it right at that moment. We don't like all the stuff that happens in the world sometimes, but it will change you.
It's you put yourself into trouble when you do that. So that has to be good.
Well, we kind of live that way. We kind of,
good trouble, and then the other kind also.
Yeah, it happens.
Necessarily. So that will, I am convinced that will enrich your life experience, expand your perception. You see how people around the world live. What other conditions are they having to endure there, here and there? And it definitely widens your perspective. Indeed.
It's when you travel and then you see what's happening on the news and what people say. If they haven't traveled, you can just call BS on a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can say, it's an important thing. Even what we're doing traveling, we're connecting with people on regular lives and in person, and we pets it because it was a safe way to travel, and you're in people's homes and we're connecting with them one-on-one. And when you do that, there's a side of understanding all sides in a way. Like you're meeting people from all walks in life and coming together over something important. Animals, travel, music, right? Does the same thing. People go to a show, they are connecting with you on music, maybe not on different political beliefs or whatever, but this is all starting points for us to reignite community globally. And I think when you travel, you see the good, bad, and the ugly, and you see through things that people believe that are not true. And it makes it a little harder to swallow when you already know when you've been there, when you've met the people, when you know people on the ground level, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't mean that negatively about being on the ground. I mean just regular people in the community without all the glitz and glamour on TV and all that crap. It's about the true inner spirit.
Right.
We all
Yeah.
connect. And I think you experience that. And we all live in different ways in, mansions and in smaller homes, some homes without running water. I mean, we've been through all of that in Africa and stuff. And it's, we have a greater understanding when you travel and you have a more empathy. I think that's the word I've been searching for.
Well, you have a
Yeah.
knowledge. I mean, when somebody talks about, say, somebody from Africa, but they themselves have never been to Africa, I can spot the difference right away. And then you can either choose to say, hey, well, we actually live there and that's not true. Or you can say, since you have this high interest, maybe you should go to Africa and find out. If you're wrong or right, because a lot of people talk about different countries. Mexico, when the border closed between the States and Mexico, there's a whole bunch of reasons for it and all this and that. Like, well, we lived in Mexico and we've lived here. And so we're in a position where we can say that's not what we experienced. That's not what we saw. That most likely is not true.
Don't ban the whole country. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful people.
exactly. And what governments do, the higher echelons in the government do, really have very little, most of the time, with what the actual people of the country feel and think.
Unfortunately, yes, that's a pattern that repeats itself a lot around the globe.
Right.
Where the leaders show very little compassion.
Right.
And we are seeing it right now.
No kidding.
Playing out, and it's kind of like so old world.
Yeah.
When are we gonna finally upgrade from that crap, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there are a number of discussions happening right now that I think are very valuable. It was about time that we face our colonial past,
right?
Both in North, Central, and South America. We have been colonizing this continent up the wazoo,
well,
at least for several hundred years.
It's
and
like Africa.
I think it is healthy to have conversations about it and be bold. I truly, honestly believe justice will show itself and will assert itself sooner or later.
Yep.
However, we must show compassion.
Right.
We must exercise and practice compassion. I for myself, I don't want to leave anybody on this. I have had opportunities to exercise compassion, and I have failed to do so. And it's utterly painful to face that. However, that's the good work that I need to do. So
isn't that all of us though, right? We all made that, we've all done that. That's remember, it's back to the 90%.
Well, don't forget we're human.
Yes. And you also know that personal and individual experiences are hardly transmitted at a larger scale. It's impossible to pretend that everybody will be part of the same team. And we have to learn, I believe, to coexist the best we can, as life is too short. And while we are alive, there is always time for meeting ourselves.
That's what I think the arts
beautifully
are.
said. Yeah.
I really think that's what the arts are all about, because whether you're on different sides of the world or and different viewpoints, you can hear a piece of music and everybody around the world can identify with that piece of music on some level
And connect. Yeah.
and connect.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's what the arts are, paintings
Absolutely.
and music.
Yes.
That's the starting
It's the
point.
truth. We're
Absolutely.
back to,
Yeah.
look, we came full circle. We're back to the truth, the 90% and the number 9. See, we're back to the truth of the
Indeed. There you
arts.
have it.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
we can all go float in space now, and we're going to do that. We're going to go
Yeah.
float now. Number 9, we're going to play number 9, the 9th segment, the 9th part here of Particles of the Infinite. And everyone, again, go to the website. It's out now, March 18th, even though we're
Cool.
recording this on the 2nd of March, just to keep it real. Alex Anthony Faide, and it's Faide. It's also, you can keep up with him on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, also on Bandcamp. If you Bandcamp is cool, dudes. Just saying, especially on Fridays, if you're going to buy from a musician that's a streaming, go to Bandcamp. They do support musicians, especially on those Fridays. There's special Bandcamp Fridays.
That's when we have the 100% technique.
I love
Because
that.
Yeah,
all,
we like that.
all of those
Yes.
monies, all of those monies on the Fridays come to us, and
Yes.
that's highly needed at this point.
Yes.
Yes, so everybody support your musicians on Bandcamp on Fridays. This is when the 90% goes to the 100%. We all clap about that extra 10% because really it's the same thing. You know, bookshop.org for authors and for independent bookstores. You know, we do have these outlets that are growing and growing. And the more we support them, the more they can be as big as Amazon, you know. But it's up to us as the individuals and the consumers to vote with our money, basically. So there's that. So we want to also thank our sponsor of today's show, which is the National Parks Arts Foundation. We love them every first Friday. You know, we air daily here on Big Blend Radio from at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time every day. Sometimes we take breaks because we need to breathe. It's the 90%. I'm gonna take that everywhere now. The National Parks Arts Foundation, what they do, and check this out. And
this is
Alex,
good.
sorry, I was going to call you Anthony there. Alex, they take musicians, artists, painters, poets, filmmakers, anybody in the arts can submit to be a artist in residence within a national park for a full month. So you could go to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, stay in your own house, which has a recording studio, by the way, and a dance floor.
Just saying.
And go into the park and create art. There's your own private island in the Dry Tortugas off the Florida Keys. Literally, you actually have to take a course to know what to deal with because of hurricanes, et cetera. And you have to have a second person with you on that one. There's Chaco Canyon, ancient historical sites with the pueblos and also the ceremonial structures of the ancient ones. And that's up in northern New Mexico. There's Death Valley. The list goes on. So check them out at nationalparksartsfoundation.org. Everyone in the arts should do this. It is incredible.
Well,
you have to apply.
We'll definitely do.
Oh, you should. Oh my gosh, the two of you, you're both musicians, could go.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And they're really, really cool. You apply. Sometimes you don't get through on it, but because they have a selection committee. But we interview artists who are the residents every first Friday, and it is mind blowing the kinds of art that it just is. When I say if anything you do, it's connected with the art in any way, apply, because it's just, we've had, you know, musicians on shows that connect their music to the heartbeat of plants and with light.
So cool.
I mean, all kinds of things.
Amazing.
So check that out, nationalparksartsfoundation.org. Again, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com and keep up with Alex at alexanthonyfaide.com. And the album, again, Particles of the Infinite. We're going to play part 9 right now. Thank you so much, Alex. It's been a true pleasure.
My pleasure.